which is where I wanted to start, the establishment of the task team, which is referred to in paragraph 49 to 55 of your statement.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, honorable members. The topic has been covered by some, if not most of the witnesses that have appeared in front of the committee. I will just talk from the practical point of view because I happened to be practically involved from all the stages of the establishment, and most of the documents, establishing documents, are having my signature on. Without going into details, I can confirm that indeed the PKTT was established during 2018, when then the political killings in the province were rife, and then it was through, as we are all aware, the appointment of the IMC Interministerial Committee by the President, which was chaired by the Ministry of Police. The point that maybe I must first try to correct is the misperception that the PKTT was formed as a result of Moerane Commission. If we go through the minutes of the IMC meetings, there is a meeting, I think in 2019, where the Premier of the province apologized for attending the IMC because he was supposed to attend the briefing by the Moerane Commission. That was in 2019. It's one of the examples that one can cite that the Moerane findings came long after the PKTT was formed. So like any other task teams, the PKTT was established or formed by the National Commissioner. Not through any legislation or gazetted regulation. It is the prerogative of the National Commissioner or the Provincial Commissioner that at any time there is a threat that they feel that it needs the task team approach, which is different from the normal day-to-day policing approach to establish then the task team. I'll link that with the situation as it happened. If we follow the minutes of the Interministerial Committee, there were 2 meetings that took place during May. The IMC went to the province to find out as to what are the interventions that are in place. Indeed, they did find the task team, the provincial political killings task team. We can call it maybe then, if we want to use PPKT, it was there. Already there was a task team. The only thing that happened when then the IMC had to assess its performance, and then they realized that it was not properly coordinated. It had no investigation or prosecution strategy. And going through the minutes of those 2 first IMC meetings, there is a lot of evidence that talks to that, because you'll find that the SAPS will come and present their report and then crime intelligence will come present their report on the same topic, and the NPA will also come present their report. So the reporting was evident enough to prove that the work of the provincial task team was not properly coordinated. Those were the findings then of the IMC during May meetings. And then when one then was roped in, I think I'll just confirm the evidence by the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal that it happened that during that time, I was deployed in the province of KZN together with him when he was the acting provincial commissioner. But the main reason or the main purpose for my deployment was to assist him to coordinate operations in the province based on my experience that he was aware of, when I'm coordinating operations at national level. So the IMC visits coincided then with the time when I was there. I still recall as to how then I was roped in. After the second meeting, when the ministers were showing disappointment on what they saw, and then the then national commissioner then asked as to why are we lambasted like this, Khumalo, when you are here? So you need to correct this because you are already temporarily deployed in the province. That's when then I had to develop the strategy that was signed off by the acting provincial commissioner as well as the deputy national commissioner recommended it, and it was approved by the then national commissioner, General Sithole. In terms of the establishment, I'll stop there, Honorable Chair.
Okay. General, I'd just like to go back and spend some more time on the role that the INC played in relation to the affairs of the PKTT. And just to note that in paragraph 55 of your statement, you say that the PKTT was overseen by the National Steering Committee, the IMC, and the President. And just hearing you speak now of how there was an initial task team, and with the intervention of the IMC, the PKTT is what it is today, which is a very different sort of way of investigating matters, and it's now made out of forensics teams. And it was after the intervention of the IMC that the PKTT was established, and the initial task team was established, restructured, and the PKTT was then established. Yes. Is it correct to say that it's the IMC's intervention on the initial task team that led to the format in which the PKTT is currently in?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. As I've indicated, the challenges identified by the IMC during their first 2 sessions with the provincial task team, they were as I listed them. And then the National Commissioner then approached me to assist because of my coordination role that I'm playing at national level. It was going to be quicker and easier than to come up with a well-coordinated and integrated plan for this particular reconfigured PKTT. Because the challenges identified by the IMC were mainly talking to what I normally correct with my coordination role in all the national operations that I was coordinating. So the role played by the IMC was at identifying or confirming those weaknesses and then directing the directors general of their respective departments then to correct the situation. That is when then we started, as instructed now by the National Commissioner, to come up with a plan that will then cover or correct or most, if not all, the mistakes as identified for the reconfigured new PKTT.
So it appears that the role of the IMC was quite important. But under the current administration, we've learned that there appears to be uncertainty in relation to whether the IMC still exists and whether the PKTT is reporting to the IMC and whether the IMC should have played a role in the disbandment of the PKTT. What is your view, General, in relation to the existence of the IMC and whether they still in fact play a role in the operations of the PKTT?
Thank you, Chair. Indeed, Honorable Chair, honorable members, the IMC is supposed to be still playing a very critical role because in terms of our founding documents, the first document then is the directive by the President establishing the IMC, and then which was then providing that strategic direction and oversight of the PKTT activities. If we go through the minutes, we'll realize the decisions that were taken by the members of the IMC after being briefed by the PKTT. We can make an example of the Kokstad prison that was made available by the relevant minister after they have realized the problems that the PKT were facing, including the allocation of dedicated prosecutors from the NPA, as well as the attempt to get a dedicated court by the respective minister who was part of the IMC. So the IMC was playing that missing strategic direction and oversight over the PKTT activities. And then under the IMC, there was then the National Steering Committee meeting that was made up of the directors general of the departments that were led by the IMC members, as well as at provincial level. That is the whole governance structure. At provincial level, there was also a provincial steering committee, which was co-chaired, which is still there, co-chaired by the provincial commissioner and the DPP KZN. The main purpose of the steering committees at different levels was to make the resources available from provincial and national level for the realization of the objectives of the PKTT. So coming to the last part of the question, Honorable Chair, according to that official governance structure that I've explained, one was expecting that when we get to the decision of disbanding, then the same route will be used in reverse. I'm talking mainly from the operational experience side. If you mobilize the team for 7 years, according to the books and our experience, you need another 7 years to demobilize. Thank you, Chair.
I know, General, you've made specific mention in your statement in paragraph 62 that seems to suggest in your view, there was a resolution made, not in your view, there's an IMC meeting minute dated September 2023 that says that the task team cannot be dissolved, it must continue. How are we supposed to understand what that means? Does this suggest that the PKTT is supposed to continue indefinitely, or what are we supposed to make of that resolution of September 2023 that was passed?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As someone who was practically involved full-time in the PKTT, and I've since realized that there seem to be uncertainty as to the existence of the oversight powers of the PKTT at the moment, more especially after the directive of the 31st of December. On paragraph 62, I'm giving my practical experience of what had happened prior to the 31st of December. The last briefing that I did to the IMC was in September 2023. I think there are about 3 or 4 resolutions towards the end of the minutes. One of the resolution was that the task team cannot be dissolved. It must continue. That can be found on the minutes that are dated 5 September 2023. And the last briefing to the President was in March 2024 towards the general elections. That was the last time that the IMC then convened the oversight briefings and meetings, but the team continued to operate, reporting to both the provincial and the national steering committees, awaiting for the chairperson of the IMC then to convene further IMC meetings, which did not happen up to date.
Matthys.
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up, and I might have missed it, are you saying that since the new acting Minister of Police has taken over, he hasn't convened, because he's the chairperson of that IMC, he hasn't convened a meeting? I just wanted clarity, please. Thank you.
That is correct, Honorable Chair. As I've indicated when I started that part of my explanation, that as someone who has been and is still practically involved with the day-to-day activities of the PKTT, we have never received any invitation to come and brief the IMC since September 2023. So the whole of 2024 and 2025 up to date, there's never been any invitation of the IMC.
Just one more. So when you say there wasn't an invitation, does that mean it didn't convene, or to your knowledge it hasn't convened? Because maybe the acting Minister of Police decided he convened maybe just the other ministers and not the officials of SAPS, or you have to be part of it as SAPS officials?
Thank you, Chair. It is for that reason that my response is structured like that, because I am not part of the interministerial committee. One will be invited with the notice of the sitting of the IMC, and then you will then be directed as to what is it that you must come and brief the committee on. Hence, my response says I've never received any notice or invitation up to date.
Honorable Ngola.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick one. I see the General keeps on referring to the PKTT. And during the testimony of the minister, he kept on correcting us when we say PKTT. And said it's NPKTT. So as the project leader, what is the official phrasing of your team?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. There are different levels of interventions. Some are initiated at provincial level. Some are initiated at national level. So all those that are initiated at national level are having an N that need not to be visible in the name, because we'll end up calling the lockdown that is currently on in Cape Town as N lockdown and N. We know that this type of operation is coordinated at which level. The other reason why we don't encourage the inclusion of an N is our approach in the interventions. We work together with the provincial commissioner. Now, if it's going to be made visible that there is an N, and then the provincial commission, because at the end of the day, the task team is supposed to be an ad hoc activity. So as you are intervening, you are imparting the skills and the methodology to the provincial commissioner and his or her operational staff. So to promote that working together, one did not really understand the emphasis of an N, because that N can be put before any other intervention that is coordinated at national level.
Advocate Mokwaiti. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Chair. General Khumalo, we'll proceed, if you're ready, to the next topic and to go into the work of the PKTT, which you addressed in paragraph 70 to 79 of your statement.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The work of the PKTT, if we follow our timeline in terms of the paragraphs.
No, so it's addressed to me. There's a complaint about my voice, though, which it's a bit soft. I was directing General Khumalo to paragraph 70 and 79 of his statement, which deals with the work of the PKTT. You can continue, General.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. From paragraph 70, if we refer to that IMC briefing as the first one, we are now referring to the reconfigured PKTT. There has been previous IMC briefings by the provincial team. So the minutes of those first PKTT are attached as Annexure SDK 5 in my statement. That was the first meeting when then the team had to present. By that time, the team was allocated 126 dockets. Maybe also to add that to introduce the further extensions that I'm still going to talk to of the mandate of the PKTT. The first one was to extend to the Eastern Cape province to attend to the cases that were reported in the University of Fort Hare, as instructed by the National Commissioner, in concurrence with the IMC. That extension is also reflected in one of the minutes after the president has received a complaint from there. Then, starting with the last one, under 7.1.1, that extension explaining the workings of the task team. The president notified the minister through a correspondence attached as SDK 6 with regard to the interventions that were required in the University of Fort Hare.
No, General, I have a few questions, but I was not trying to interrupt you. Can I ask my question?
Yes.
I just want to note your attention to paragraph 73 of your statement, where you indicate the number of matters that the PKTT is currently responsible for, or the number of dockets that the PKTT is dealing with. And there you say, as of 31st December, the designated team had been assigned the responsibility of a total of 612 dockets.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, indeed. As at the 31st of December, the time of the disbandment letter, the team was allocated a total of 612 dockets. With that breakdown, which includes all the extensions of the mandate. The 333 dockets were those that are falling within the category of politically related cases only from KZN. And then the next one, it's parallel cases, those that are related to one of the 333 political related cases, and then there is 120 of ad hoc cases that are mainly firearm related cases. And then the fourth group of dockets, it's those that are talking to the extension of the mandate, where the team was directed to include the cases that are involving the killing of traditional leaders, also in the province of KZN. The team was allocated, as at the 31st of December, was allocated 51 of those dockets. And then from the University of Fort Hare extension, there were 18 dockets. That gives us the total of 621. During that time, 125 of those dockets were still under investigation, and the 114, they were at various courts, and then the 297 were already finalized. Then moving on with the explanation as to the work and the success of the PKTT, it is impossible to measure the success of the PKTT through the numbers as they are reflected on top. Although the numbers are also looking very good if we come to realize the diversity and the complexity of the contract killings. The contract killing is different from a killing from a shibin, where two people will quarrel and stab one another. It's much easier to investigate because you have a potential of lots of witnesses and evidence. But then the contract killing is planned for a long time, and it is executed in such a way that it becomes difficult for the investigation. So the unique value of PKTT comes with the methodology that the PKTT is using. The PKTT is not approaching the investigation by looking for a killer or someone who killed. The approach is always in line with wanting to get to the reason as to why would this person be killed and who might have benefited from the killing. That then will help the team to identify different stakeholders, different targets that needs to be linked with the investigation. There has been, whilst on that point of investigation of the motive, one can maybe add that this explanation will help some of the critics of the PKTT that will normally say PKTT will now and again go off their mandate of only investigating the killings. If during the investigation of the motive, it becomes clear that the real motive was fraud and corruption, and the person who ordered the killing wanted to benefit in terms of fraud and corruption, the PKTT then will register, according to our methodology, a case of fraud and corruption, so as we rope in the hit orderer, even if it's not through the murder itself, but the motive for the killing will make the hit orderer to be prosecuted together with the killers. So that will explain then that critical point. And then moving on, maybe one has to show or demonstrate on page 28 of my affidavit the benefits. One of the benefits, not all of them, one of the benefits of the integrated multidisciplinary and multi-departmental approach utilized by PKTT on the status of suspects that are arrested. The picture is totally different from the normal picture that you'll find in the SAPS. In most cases, out of 200 people that we have charged, the majority, more than 50%, are on bail. But with this approach, we have managed then to have a very effective bail opposition strategy. Hence, then you will find that under political related cases, 122 of our accused are in custody. Only 45 are on bail. In most cases, it's other way around. Same applies to the cases of traditional leadership. We have 12 in custody and only 1 on bail. It's one of the benefits of utilizing the strategy. On the same table, we are also indicating the problem that led to the request of dedicated prosecutors to be part of the team. On the first one, under political related cases, before the dedicated prosecutors were brought on board, we had 62 charges that were withdrawn against the accused, mainly where you are attempting to charge a very prominent local person. It will be very difficult for a local prosecutor to keep that person under prosecution. There will always be some reasons to withdraw charges. But then after that, we saw an improvement because for the past 5 years, only 20 charges were withdrawn against the particular or some of the individuals. Then maybe moving on to another point under the work of the PKTT, that one feels that it's important maybe to explain to the committee, is the one that is talking to the threat and risk assessment of the threat that is being addressed. It's on page 29 under the graph that talks to yearly statistical comparison on cases reported since 2011 to date. That has been updated up to January 2026. We are portraying there the picture which proves that there are always spikes of these cases during the election year, starting from 2016. Maybe before I get to those spikes, to quickly explain the 3 different colors that are on that graph. The blue talks to the total number of politically related cases. The red or the green talks to the murder, the killings only. Why different colors? It's because we wanted to see as to, do we have the killings under control, decreasing? So the blue, the green will indicate that between the period 2018, that was the establishment of the PKTT, up until 2021, we managed to sustain that average of 15 killings per year, unlike before, the years before, which is 2016, 2017, where you have 32 and 20 respectively. Now, one would like to explain the increase, a sudden increase in 2022, which is outside the election period, which is a different trend. From the beginning of this graph, the increase is experienced during the either local government elections or national and provincial elections. But a different trend is noticed in 2022, where there was a vast increase of both cases as well as murder cases to 27. The reason for that, according to our analysis and threat and risk assessment, was when the country was experiencing a lot of hung municipalities. That's why there we see the cases coming thick and fast after the elections. The elections were at the end of 2021, but most of the murders came then from the beginning of 22. That was when then there was a number game that was happening, that if one councillor is removed, the score will be 2-2. Then there will be by-elections, and then so that is the reason why then we had that situation. But then the team, based on their experience, managed to update their plan so as it can fit that new trend that was starting, and then they managed then to maintain the decrease up to date. And also to indicate that on the previous report, it was indicated that there was one killing in 2025. We are showing the updated report that the total cases were 7, and then 5 of them resulted in the killing. That is at the end of the year 2025.
Now, General, may I refer you to page 107 of the big bundle, of the big bundle, 107. Now, what that refers to is an information note where an amount of, let me see, an amount of 94, just over 94 million was requested for the PKTT. And we see from this information note that a substantially lesser amount was then subsequently approved. Now, General, you've talked a lot about the wonderful work of the PKTT and just how unconventional your methods are. Would you be able to continue with the work and the valuable and exceptional work, as you've put it, of the PKTT with the budget being decreased? And how do you currently perform your work with such a decreased amount to work with, especially given that we are going into local elections, and you've indicated this is the period that the political killings spike? How does the decrease in the budget affect your current operations, if at all?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Maybe to explain that, it might look like a decrease, but it is actually not a decrease on what was requested as estimated budget. The procedure in the department is you renew all the financial authorities before the end of the financial year. So there will be a submission with the estimated budget for the whole of the financial year. So if we look at 109, there are 2 recommendations. The first one talks to the recommendation that the full estimated amount of over 94 million be approved. And then the second recommendation, it's an alternative that requests that whilst the final budget allocation, because this happens when the budgeting process is still going on, and then the request there was at least a 2-month allocation be given whilst waiting for the rest. And indeed, it happened like that. After that allocation of a small amount, and then as we can see from the approval, page 110 of the accounting officer, approving 20 million provisionally, whilst the finalization of allocation is processed, which then happened exactly like that. after that 2 months, then the rest of the allocation was given.
General, also just lastly on this point of the work of the PKTT, now it has been noted by various witnesses who appeared, senior officials within SAPS, are of the view that task teams are not supposed to last indefinitely. At some point, a task team must come to an end. Now, in your view, in relation to the PKTT, do you think it's time? And if not, will there ever be a time?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I agree with the general view that the task teams must have timelines because task teams are established for a particular reason, and then they are supposed then to be disestablished after the problem has been dealt with. But looking at the methodology that is employed by the PKTT, my personal view will be for the SAPS to make use of the opportunity to change their policing model when it comes to investigations and use the task team model as a transition phase to the correct and proper methodology of investigating. Our current investigation is very much outdated. It was during the time when we did not have more of organized crime like we have nowadays. So my personal view is we have been recommending that, I think even on the information note that evidence leader directed me or referred us to, one of the recommendations is that the methodology employed by the political killings task team be adopted by all environments that are doing organized crime investigation. The difference between the unit and the task team, I think I'm still going to address that somewhere down the line on my affidavit. The methodology and the setup is totally different. We have few investigating officers, but more experts that are serving as that are providing investigative aids of nowadays to a detective who is only armed with the training as to how to obtain the statement from a witness. Then my personal view is still that if SAPS can make use of this opportunity and use this model that is, according to us, tried and tested, that has been successful in dealing with any type of organized crime, to use it as a transition and then towards the both the accounting officers that has been in the office during the times of PKTT are of the same view. The previous National Commissioner, during the last briefing of the National Steering Committee by the PKTT, gave the PKTT a name of being pioneers of modern policing, modern investigation, and directed that that recommendation be implemented, but then it was not. So even the current accounting officer, as and when there is a problem that needs to be attended to, he knows that there is only one place to run to, but the PKTT, because of the model. So I'll remain convinced that instead of disbanding, at least use it as a transition to make sure that this type of investigation then is spread throughout the country, which is not in line with the argument that has been tabled in this commission, in this committee, and everywhere, that the transition must be to the murder and robbery unit. Those are two different scenarios, something that you cannot compare, as I've indicated. A murder and robbery unit, you need 20 detectives. That's all. But a task team format, we need 2 detectives and 18 specialists. So we need to form such types of units instead of sticking to the old types of units of putting detectives together with the same skill, same understanding, and which makes it impossible for them to deal with nowadays organized crime.
Thank you, General. But just lastly, and maybe you, General, will deal with this when we come to recommendations and lessons learned from the PKTT to take forward. But just briefly give an indication, are there practical steps to do what General Khumalo is proposing in relation to taking the lessons learned from the PKTT and implementing it? Is there something in place that suggests currently that there are steps being taken not to lose the value that the PKTT is currently adding to SAPS?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, honorable members. It's very possible. It needs a will from all arms of the state. I'll make a practical example of capacity that is already there. In terms of not losing evidence, the PKTT is having their own crime scene experts that will go to the crime scene at any time of the day or night and collect evidence. Looking at the capacity that we have countrywide, we can have that capacity spread throughout all the police stations for starters, because it's one of the critical investigative aid that is still centralized or secluded. The detective from a particular station has to wait for 6 to 7 hours for someone from crime scene management to attend the crime scene. And then also we have a lot of call data analysts that are trained, but they are centralized at provincial or unit levels. So if there is a will, it's something that can happen. That is very possible, that we spread this methodology employed by the team throughout the country, but focusing maybe for starters at our 4 most troublesome provinces.
Honorable Sangoni.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, General Khumalo. I'm sorry, General Khumalo, I may have missed your direct answer to what the advocate was asking you. Is it happening? Because you seem to be speaking, something that's future orientated, a bit theoretical. is it currently happening now? Because at the crux of this issue was that the task team should not be there forever. So the transition that you're speaking about and how it spreads to the rest of the country, is it work that the SAPS is doing now? Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Member. One can say it's, I don't want to say it's happening, but there are plans that are towards that. The last directive we got that we need to establish one in Gauteng and then and also move towards this part of the country in Cape Town. So there are plans of doing that.
Yes, let's proceed, Advocate White.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Bangazitha.
General Khumalo, I'd like to move on to the next topic, if we may, which deals with the infiltration that you've mentioned in SAPS. And this is dealt with in paragraph 80 to 91 of your statement. It deals with the infiltration and influence of organized crime in the criminal and justice system.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members.
General, before you maybe go into it, as you take us through what you've written in your statement on that, may I just ask you to just briefly give us the significant features or the characteristics of syndicates as you describe in your statement and the modus operandi, and just in brief so that members can sort of have a sense of how the syndicates operate.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. That is the main reason why I maybe propose that we include this part in my affidavit, where we are looking at the context of organized crime, explaining, because it will assist us when we get to the part of events that are related to the disbandment. One felt that maybe we need to touch on some of the most important features so as we can apply them when we get to our practical example of the disbandment of the PKTT. This will entail touching in brief as to how organized crime syndicates operate under general, but I'll be touching on the issues that will help us understand the events leading to the 31st of December. The first fact is, as I've indicated, it's a reality that as South Africa, we are now experiencing more and more of evolving challenges around organized crime with our syndicates then that are spanning across provinces and most worrisome also across the world with the international networking. Then the first part, it's the membership or characteristics of crime syndicate membership. There are critical characteristics that you find that they are common to the dedicated individuals involved in organized crime. Firstly, you must be a habitual criminal. You grow up starting from housebreaking, graduating to other serious crimes. But what is most importantly is you must show that you have been able to not to be punished for more than 50% of your criminality as you grow up within the ranks. Then the next topic to summarize talks to the entry requirements and progression. I've spoken to the established history of criminality and multiple arrests, the criminal cases, long list. And then in most cases, you do the profile of those professional criminals. Most of those charges are withdrawn. That shows then that you have mastered the art of being able to bypass the whole of criminal justice chain, starting from the police to prosecution, then sometimes even to judiciary. We have seen sentences that are not making sense at all. So in short, for you to be part, you must have, like in a normal employment, a proven track record of being a habitual criminal. You must be an asset. It's either you bring along the local branch commander or you bring along the local district commander, you bring along, but you have to bring along a person who is at the position of influence, a local prosecutor, a local magistrate, whoever that you grew up working with will be an asset within the syndicate. Another entry requirement nowadays that we see in all the syndicates and cartels that we are working on, it's tenderpreneurship, which is becoming a prominent feature where members own multiple of companies registered both within and outside the borders of our country. These business links make it easier for the commodities that the cartel or syndicate are dealing with, also to be able to move across the globe. And also the tenderpreneurship allows for quick money laundering and also the procurement of government contracts illegally. It makes it easier also to do the money laundering. But the most important one that is very prominent in most of our syndicates and cartels in the country is the facilitation for the resources of crimes, more especially firearms, through the registration of private security companies, which then is an easiest route for you to get as much firearms as possible that are. We are always asking ourselves this question as to where are these firearms that are used in all these organized hits and CITs and all violent crimes coming from. Most of them are coming from that route, because you go there to a particular company for compliance inspection, you'll find that 6 of the firearms that were procured last month are reported missing 2 hours before you come in. So they are not missing, but it's because they cannot then be subjected to ballistic analysis, because they will be linked with those cases that you are investigating. And also the borrowing, unlawful borrowing and interchanging of those resources. It's something that happens. I'm touching on this because it's something that we can practically see, most of us in our communities where the syndicates and cartels are operating. Then the next one that I felt I need to touch on is the international reach and dual citizenship. I'm touching on those that will become relevant when I get to the actual events as they happened. It's one of the requirements of holding more than one citizenship in more than one country. That also allows the flexibility of movement, either of as a person or then of the commodity. We have seen most of our high profile investigations as to how long it takes to get a person who have also a Swaziland citizenship. Sometimes, depending on the relations you might get, I'm just making an example with Swaziland, but then the citizenship of more than one country is very important for the cartels and syndicates to access also the international network and resources, also for the easier smuggling of the commodities that the syndicate is dealing with. Then on the manner of actions as to how the operations are conducted. As I've indicated, that there must be lots of registered lawful companies set amongst the syndicate members, so as then blending of criminal expertise with a legitimate business strategy can be possible, which allows both power as well as access to the underworld. It's rare that you find a syndicate member who is not supported by local communities. It's because of what they are doing as under the legitimate business for their criminal expertise. And also the most important part that will bring us closer to the example that we are going to discuss at length, which is key to any syndicate to survive, is the proximity, close proximity and relationships with politicians, law enforcement officers, and business leaders. That allows the syndicates to have access to sensitive information, to have access to the investigation processes and statuses, to ensure that they are always in a position to manipulate or obstruct legal proceedings, especially at senior level. Everywhere we go, an unknown person wanting to take a photo with you, it's the way into doing exactly what I am trying to explain here. And what makes it more difficult these days, especially within SAPS, it's because there are syndicate members that are within our ranks. Now, you cannot, or let me say, there are senior officers that are in close proximity of the syndicate members that we have to work with. I am a living example of that. A general sending me a WhatsApp message, greetings, I greet back, and then we talk, and then somewhere along the line, when we come across the cell phone of a particular target of our operation, you find that screenshot of yours when you were discussing or whatever with that general, a normal greeting. Now, to prove that this general wants to show how close I am to the head of crime intelligence, I can be an asset to you. So that is one part of the challenges that we are facing. No matter how hard we try to understand this modus operandi of syndicates, but there are situations where it's very impossible to avoid. The interest in the criminal justice system, it has been internationally proven that for any organized crime to thrive, the cartel must infiltrate or gain support from powerful figures within the criminal justice system. I've made an example of SAPS. I'm also going to take a lot on DPCI with our operations. They do that because there are two ways. It has been a career within a career from SAPS to provide protection for a fee. Not sure that it qualifies to be an extortion. In my position, if I'm able to protect you, then there is a protection fee that you must continuously pay. So it's a fact that is only done to sustain the activities or to protect the activities of the syndicate and these professional criminals. In our communities, we see a lot of, we used to call them fly-by-nights, but not anymore, because traditionally when you grow up in your community, you will know one or two rich families where there is a shop, and then there will forever be a rich family. But these days, a person will disappear for 2 years, come back, and then being the richest of them all in the area. And then these relationships that are then built within communities, they promote that. But the other importance of cartels and syndicates to be in close proximity with criminal justice system is early warnings, as I'm going to demonstrate, early warnings of law enforcement actions. It's very rare that you plan your operation, takedown operation for a cartel member, and then when you get there, you are not shown evidence that I was expecting you. It has never happened of late. So the early warnings of law enforcement actions and opportunities to redirect the resources and the ability then to, because the criminal justice system also comes in handy to deal with the internal and external conflicts within a cartel or between cartels. That is one of the roles that we are playing. With this short overview, Honorable Chair, as I indicated when I started this part, I intended to assist the committee to contextualize the events that I'm about to address and locate them within this sophisticated agenda, which is a reality. That is what is happening now in our country. So as our country becomes then a lawless country, because once criminal justice system is infiltrated, then we cannot be able to enforce the law.
So, Chair, maybe perhaps before we go into those events that General Khumalo is speaking about, would this be an opportune time to take a lunch break? No.
Yeah, you said that your voice is a charm, so it worked on my time. The charm worked on my time. I think we have reached a stage where we should take a break, but let me take your hand, Honorable Skosana, before the break.
Thank you, Chair. I think, Chair, if you remember well, with all the other witnesses, I'm going to ask General Khumalo, when he said that some other generals share screenshots, I think he must name the general who has done that. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I think we will come to that point because what he was doing, he says it was just an illustration of how, in fact, these are observed trends from his position as a leader of a division. We're dealing with a phenomenon like this one. This is how it manifests itself. Am I correct, General?
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah.
I was avoiding to make someone else an example but myself. But when we get to the events themselves, we can get into it in details.
Are you happy, Honorable Member?
I'm very, very happy, Chair. Thank you.
Any other bite before I release the members? Okay, I can see that all of you are satisfied with the progress that we have made so far. Honorable Ngola.
Just one question to our leader, evidence leader today. I think we've been getting alerts that the public can hear, but they can hear all of us, but they can't really hear her. So if she can bolden that charm a little bit. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Noted, Chair. I'll take care of it. I will take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, the charm is gentle, and South Africans are appealing for it. It's now just over 10 minutes after 13 hours. Honorable members, may we please come back exactly at 14 hours. Thank you so much.